I am still very under the weather, so today we're just gonna sort of sit back and have a calm discussion about all of the concerns in Starfield. I think that pretty much since Starfield's first announcement, there's been a lot of concerns about the game, and people just sort of worrying about various things. You all know that I'm very excited for Starfield. It is my most anticipated game of the year just before Spider-Man 2, and I've always been very open-minded to the game. There's definitely some things Bethesda have done or announced with Starfield that I don't think sounds good, but then again, I'm still trying to keep an open mind. Also, if you just heard my cat, I apologise. At the moment, I think that the biggest worry people have, including myself, is the microtransactions, right? We all saw that there's a collector's edition coming, but then we saw other editions that included things like skins, which was surprising because of the backlash that Bethesda did get when they started selling skins in Fallout 4's Creation Club and even Fallout 76. And yes, of course I do have a big issue with this. I just don't see the point of selling this stuff. Take the Constellation spacesuit skin, for example, that we know is going to be in the game. Bethesda knows damn well that a modder is just going to add this skin like a couple of days after launch, so everybody can get it for free, and the same goes with all of the other various things and microtransactions that they are putting into the super duper special ultra premium editions, or whatever the fuck they're called. Now, look, my thought process here is pretty much, I don't mind this. Yes, I think it's dumb, but it's whatever. As long as Starfield doesn't start selling all of this crap throughout its lifetime, then I don't really mind it too much. But then again, of course, that does take us to Creation Club, where a lot of people are very worried that Starfield will have a sort of Creation Club 2.0, so to speak, or some kind of paid mod store. And look, I've said it 1,000 times, I don't actually mind paid mods as long as the mods are good, but so far they haven't been. Look, again, I've said it like a billion times, I would happily pay for mods like Fallout 4's Fallout London mod, or even Sim Settlements 2, or Skyblivion, right? But the issue rises when these paid mods begin to be, I don't know, Pip-Boy skins, or a new sword that just adds nothing to the game that can't already be modded in, or, you know, like a dog meat skin or whatever. It's just ridiculous. There are people worrying that Starfield will just be a cluster of microtransactions, and we actually all spoke about this on our Discord the other day in our daily Constellation logs. If you're on the Discord, you will know what that is, but in short, my thoughts are this. If the mod is actually big and well thought out and good like the mods I just mentioned, then I don't actually mind paying for it, so long as it's also a decent price, of course. I even don't mind paying for settlements, or I guess in Starfield outpost packs that come with a bunch of new stuff that we could build in our settlement/outposts. I actually really liked Fallout 4's settlement creations, so as long as it stays a fairly cheap price and they come with a lot, I don't even mind those. But I'm gonna have an issue if we start seeing spacesuit skins and Constellation watch packs that are being sold for like £10 each, because it's just greedy. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is the companions, and look, I know I have been very loud about my disappointment in the fact that we only have 4 companions in the game which are romanceable and have like a personal quest, mostly because Fallout 4 had 8 of these companions, so it just seems like a massive downgrade in Starfield, and I guess I'm not alone because a lot of people are worried about the very same thing. And yes, look, I suppose it isn't too bad as long as these 4 companions are super fleshed out. But my biggest concern with this is, what if I don't like all 4 of these companions? Because there's definitely 4 companions in Fallout 4 that I dislike. In Fallout 4, there was a lot of followers to choose from, so you're bound to find at least one that you like and actually want to go on an adventure with, but with Starfield that number is extremely limited. Look, I do like the look of every companion that we have seen so far, and I know that modders will add a ton of companion mods, but this is still a concern to me. Don't get me wrong, I don't want Bethesda to go back to making Skyrim robotic followers, not at all, but Fallout 4 was just such a massive improvement on Bethesda's companion system that I can't help but think that they've downgraded companions for Starfield due to this. But look, quality over quantity, right? As long as these 4 companions have really great personalities and cool personal quests, then I guess I don't mind it, as long as they're even more fleshed out than Fallout 4's companions, but I am, at the moment, still worried about it. Still in the back of my head, I can't lie. But if Bethesda's past is anything to go off, then we're probably going to get more companions in future story DLCs anyway. Probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest concern, is the procedural generation and only 10% of planets having life, and Look, I'm just gonna say it straight here because, quite honestly, I am sick to death of talking about it. Starfield is supposed to be a somewhat realistic space RPG and sim. Bethesda have said that from day one, that the game is supposed to be a somewhat realistic world that could maybe somewhat, if we stretch, be possible in over 300 years' time. And I'm not sure if you skipped science class, but guess what? Most planets in real life do not have life. In fact, we as a humanity still have not found a planet with life. So yes, in this realism-based space game, most planets will be empty. Who knew? I don't understand why anybody was surprised at this, quite honestly. Like I said, I know I'm being quite blunt here, but Bethesda did confirm the realism setting a very, very long time ago, so if you expected alien cities on every planet and planets filled to the rim with life, then quite honestly, that's on you. I can understand the disappointment if we were all expecting that and Bethesda wasn't clear on it from day one, but they always have been. So if you knew this and still got disappointed, then I don't know what to tell you. 10% sounds low, but that's still 100 planets with life. Before Starfield's first showcase, nobody thought that we would get 1,000 planets. Most people were speculating that we'd get between, I don't know, like 5 or 10. So this really isn't an issue to me, and I'm sorry if you disagree, but like I said, it's always been very clear, so I honestly don't know what else to say. And that, of course, brings us to actual content. Again, I'm going to skip over this very quickly. With the only 10% of planets having life thing, people are worried that Starfield will be very lacking in content. It won't. Simple as Bethesda have said plenty of times, the game has more dialogue lines than any of their previous games. It has more than Skyrim and Fallout 4 combined, and they've also said that Starfield has more handcrafted content than any previous Bethesda Game Studios game. So yes, Starfield is going to have a lot of content, that much is obvious, you don't need to worry about that. Then the next thing on the agenda, if you will, is the land vehicles. Again, I'm seeing so many people complain about this, and this one I can somewhat actually get behind. Am I personally disappointed in this? No, not really. But yes, it would have been cool, and definitely would have made sense for the world that Bethesda is building with Starfield, but Bethesda has always prioritised exploration on foot, because let's be honest, that is the best way to find things, right? Like if you're in a buggy or a rover or a car or a motorbike or whatever, you're just going to accidentally speed past some cool stuff. And I will say, this would be awesome as a future DLC, and I do hope that it is added at some point. I would love to have land vehicles in Starfield just because it seems so fun, but overall I don't think that this is a big problem. Now, I of course was not going to do this video without discussing the frame rate, and look, I will say right now, I do think that 30 FPS on consoles in 2023 is embarrassing, to say the least. I know that Todd has said that they didn't want to make the game 60 FPS because they didn't want to take away any of the visual stuff, but hey, guess what? Again, it's 2023, man. Just add a performance mode and then you make everyone happy. I honestly don't understand why they didn't do this, just a performance mode and a fidelity mode like most games have today, but hey, it is what it is. Most people will be playing Starfield at 60 FPS on PC anyway, so this does only affect the console players, but I do play my Series X a lot, and while I will definitely be playing Starfield mostly on PC, I will have other playthroughs going on in my Series X for when I just want to chill and play on my TV, right? So this really does suck to hear, but with all of that said, as long as the frame rate is stable, then I think it's okay. Right, so as long as we're not dropping down to 20 FPS or even lower like Fallout 4 does, and crashing every 5 seconds again like Fallout 4 does on the Xbox, then I don't mind this. If this is what it takes to keep the game running smooth, then I think it's fine, and honestly I don't really mind 30 FPS anyway. I just think it's a little bit embarrassing because, you know, Xbox always say that they're the most powerful console, and then they put out their biggest exclusive ever at 30 FPS. So, while I don't mind it, I just think it's laughable, if that makes sense. Lastly, just to quickly wrap this part of the video up, I will say, I know a lot of people have posted the Starfield footage and tried to show that it drops below 30, and yeah, I don't think that's the game. I think it's mostly the capture footage that Bethesda used, or even YouTube itself. The amount of times I try and upload a video at 60 FPS, and it just drops down to 30 or 50 or whatever, and the frames are all weird, is honestly ridiculous. Like, YouTube has a big issue with it, so just keep that in mind. Overall, I don't think 30 FPS is that bad as long as it's consistent. If the frames start dropping every 2 minutes, then that's when I'm going to start to get very pissed off. The last thing I want to mention is bugs. People are clearly very worried about the bugs in Starfield and just how bug-free the game will actually be. Look, it's a Bethesda game. It's gonna have at the very least a couple of bugs at launch, but the game was delayed. They have spent over a year working on it and fixing it, and I know it's difficult to trust companies that say things like this, especially after games like Fallout 76 and Cyberpunk, but I seriously think that Starfield will be Bethesda's most bug-free game yet, and there's not really much else to say here because we have no proof or evidence of this, so this is just going to have to unfortunately be something that we've got to wait for launch day to see. But look, we are just 6 weeks away from Starfield, which is insane, so if you do want to stay up to date on everything Starfield, from news to leaks to other discussions like this, and a bunch of lore and character builds once the game actually finally releases, I kindly ask that you hit the subscribe button and join our little community, and of course please do also drop the video a like for me if you haven't already. It really does help out, and as always, a big massive thank you to the channel members for sticking with me month after month. You guys absolutely rock. You are all beautiful people. It really means the world, so thank you for being here. But with that all said and done, thank you all so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in our next video tomorrow. Peace.